The First Woman in Space, the story of Valentina Tereshkova. On a bright June morning in 1963, a small spacecraft rose on a column of fire from the Baikonur Cosmodrome, cutting into the blue Kazakh sky. Inside sat a 26-year-old factory worker, amateur skydiver, and daughter of a tractor driver, a woman the world had never heard of. But within hours, her name would be broadcast across continents. Her call sign was Chaika, the seagull. Her mission, to become the first woman in space. This is the story of Valentina Tereshkova, the unlikely pioneer who reshaped the boundaries of possibility during the height of the Cold War. A childhood far from the stars. Valentina Vladimirovna Tereshkova was born in 1937 in the village of Bolshoy Maslenikovo, a rural corner of central Russia surrounded by forests and farmland. Her family lived modestly. Her mother worked in a textile factory, and her father, a tractor operator, died a hero in World War II when she was just 2 years old. Tereshkova grew up without privilege or access to science. She left school early to help support her family and followed her mother into textile work. But she had a restless streak and a fascination with speed, height, and adrenaline. At 22, she joined a local parachuting club, taking her first jump from 2,000 meters. That leap would unknowingly set her on a collision course with history. A race for space and symbolism. In the early 1960s, the Soviet Union was in fierce competition with the United States. It had already stunned the world by launching the first satellite, Sputnik, then the first man, Yuri Gagarin, into orbit, determined to maintain its lead. The Soviet space program sought another symbolic victory, sending the first woman into space. Hundreds of women were screened, pilots, athletes, parachutists, but only 5 made it into the final candidate group. Tereshkova was not a scientist, not a military officer, and not an engineer, but her parachuting skill, strong political background, and working-class identity made her an ideal face for a mission designed to showcase Soviet inclusivity. At age 24, she was selected as a cosmonaut trainee, training for the impossible. Training was grueling. The female cosmonauts endured centrifuge tests, pushing their bodies to extreme G-forces, long sessions in an isolation chamber, survival training in forests and snow, zero-gravity flights, engineering and spacecraft coursework, hundreds of parachute jumps. The psychological demands were equally intense. They were entering a field that had never seen a woman participate, let alone lead a solo orbital mission. Yet Tereshkova excelled. During training, she was inducted into the Soviet Air Force, later earning the rank of lieutenant. Her mission assignment, Vostok 6, would mark one of the final flights in the pioneering Vostok program, the flight of Chaika. On the 16th of June, 1963, at precisely 12:30 p.m., Moscow time, Vostok 6 thundered into orbit. Tereshkova's voice echoed across radio networks. "Ya, Chaika! I am the seagull!" For nearly 3 days, she orbited the Earth 48 times. Her tasks included photographing the horizon, documenting atmospheric phenomena, and monitoring how the female body responded to weightlessness. She also exchanged radio messages with Vostok 5, flown by Valery Bykovsky, making them the first pair of spacecraft to fly in near tandem. The flight, however, was far from smooth. Tereshkova struggled with nausea, poor food, and a misconfigured guidance program that initially aimed her spacecraft away from Earth, an error she later reported with remarkable composure. Despite this, she maintained control and completed the mission successfully. When Vostok 6 re-entered the atmosphere, Tereshkova ejected at roughly 6,000 meters, landing by parachute in a field near the Volga River. Local villagers ran to greet her. Some helped her out of her spacesuit, others offered bread, salt, and milk. Traditional signs of welcome. The first woman in space had returned home. A global symbol and a complex reality. Tereshkova's achievement sent shockwaves across the world. She received the title Hero of the Soviet Union, paraded through Moscow, and became an international celebrity in the West. Her flight intensified pressure on NASA, which at the time still excluded women from astronaut training. Yet the triumph masked a more complicated truth. Her mission did not ignite a broader Soviet effort to train and fly women. After 1963, no other woman would orbit Earth for 19 years. The Soviet aim had been geopolitical symbolism, not structural inclusion. It wasn't until 1982, with the flight of Svetlana Savitskaya, that another woman entered space from the USSR, and Savitskaya had to fight for every step. In the United States, it took until 1983 before Sally Ride became the first American woman in space, decades after the first male astronauts. Women in space today. Since Tereshkova's flight, more than 70 women have traveled to space. NASA, ESA, China's CNSA, and private companies now train women as pilots, engineers, commanders, and scientists. Astronauts like Peggy Whitson, Sunita Williams, Samantha Cristoforetti, and Wang Yaping have carried the legacy forward with long-duration missions and spacewalks. Despite progress, women remain underrepresented. Historically, only about 1 in 10 space travelers have been female. But change is accelerating. NASA's Artemis program plans to land the first woman on the moon, a symbolic milestone that echoes Tereshkova's breakthrough. The legacy of Valentina Tereshkova. Tereshkova's story endures not only because she was the first, but because she emerged from anonymity, a young woman from a small village with no elite credentials, and carried humanity's dreams beyond the atmosphere. Her legacy can be understood in 3 dimensions. A scientific milestone. Her mission proved women could endure spaceflight's extreme physical and psychological stresses, expanding the pool of future astronauts. A political symbol. Her flight reinforced Soviet messaging about equality and innovation, even as real opportunities for women remain limited. An inspiration. Tereshkova's life continues to inspire young women worldwide to pursue careers in science, engineering, and aviation. A seagull in the sky. When asked years later what she remembered most vividly from her time in orbit, Tereshkova said she kept returning to the window, watching her home planet drift beneath her. "It was so beautiful," she recalled. "The Earth is round and it is blue." On that June day in 1963, a factory worker turned skydiver became a symbol of possibility, a reminder that the boundaries of human achievement are often broken not by those who seem destined for greatness, but by those brave enough to leap.